The determination.
The support.
The camaraderie.
But it's so much more than that.
We're playing for something bigger.
You ready?
This is your 1 minute warning. Players and officials, this is your 30-second warning. Please take to the field, ready to play.
Well, good afternoon and welcome back here to Nottingham for the Touch World Cup 2024 Men's 30s Division now. Two of the heavyweights of the Asia-Pacific region, Japan taking on Singapore. James Preston and Joe Wright to bring you all the action. It will be Japan with first use of the ball here in terms of defence. Singapore will start things though, and off they run left to right on your screen. Bring it forward now. Nice quick roll ball here from Chung as they then turn it back towards the middle of the field here. That's Lim. Drops it down. Concerted approach to begin here from Singapore. Just trying to draw in the numbers towards the middle here. Off they go out. Why? What a great ball that is. And it's taken, and the first try comes here for Singapore. One set down, one try on the board. What a ripping left to right.
What a ripper. To start us off, this is just world class. Big left foot step, left to right, long ball. And what about the diving take in the corner from the winger? Getting the ball down nice and clean. What a start to this game.
Well, they couldn't have asked for a better beginning here. Singapore and now Japan have all the work to do as they go on the attack now. Turn it back towards the middle here for Takiguchi. And they're caught. Back to the 7 they go now. Takiguchi. Slowing things down, then shifting it to that right-hand side. He pops back towards the middle now. Now, that must have been a touch pass at the very least. No, they've called play on there and then an infringement for Singapore.
Yeah, it's the Singapore winger is just trying to get up into those passing lanes. Almost took it. Japan living right on that edge of what's accessible, and now they look for the middles.
Now Toshiro involved there as well. He's still an option on this left-hand side. They don't come that way in the end. Simply a dummy, and then taking the touch there was Takiguchi. Gets it back now. So he's the architect here for Japan. Takiguchi once more taking off. Turns it back on the inside for Toshiro. Still alive here for Japan. Great footwork. Nakano. Watari. Absolutely outstanding. Crack off the left foot. Here it is again. Nakano Watari. That looks deliciously good on the replay.
Oh, it's stunning. And it sold me with the phase as well. Thought it was going to the winger. So did Singapore. Definitely wasn't. And now we're all even. It seems like a battle of the footwork.
It's a great start here for both sides. Coming away with points on their first possessions, respectively. So the rain continues here in Nottingham. It wouldn't be a touch tournament without a little bit of rain floating about. They send it on now here for Chung. Chung on the dive forward. Nobody stepped up to meet him in the end. A bizarre decision there from Maruyama, who was, I think, potentially a little bit lost in terms of his bearings.
Yeah, it was, like you say, quite a strange defensive read. Like he was just running down a blind alley, but no, never coming off the line. Ball is definitely down. And, well, I mean, if you're watching at home and you want to learn how to play touch, get off your line in defence. You'll always get the benefit of the doubt from the ref.
So we're yet to see either side turn away their opposition once they've come down this attacking end of the field. 2-1 the score. Singapore in front at the moment as Japan continue marching forward. A passive play and then spreading it wide out to this left-hand side. Good defence, though, from Singapore, but there will be another penalty forthcoming here for Japan.
Yeah, Japan looking really potent when they get the ball in hand. Just curious to see if Singapore can shore up the defence, get a shutout.
So Kanabe out there as well now. Ishikawa floating around. Here he is with ball in hand. Ishikawa dropping it short now to Nida. Rolls it back. Oh, good ball it was. Building there for Japan. Unfortunately, they just couldn't get hands to it. And as a result, for the first time in this match, a team hasn't come away with a try.
Yeah, it's a shame. I was kind of hoping for an old school shootout going down one end to the other. But it seems like already Japan looking to play that phase, get the ball down early, close to the line, whip it quick.
And now Onuki drops it down, and here's Ishikawa having a little dig at them, getting very close. Turned away, though. Penalty forthcoming. You might see as well there on top of the referee's head. That's not a snorkel. I know it is raining, but it's actually a GoPro out there, I believe. So they'll catch them here, Japan. 7 metres away, and now on the stutter step, Ishikawa looking very fleet-footed. Just turned away there from Singapore. So just over 4 minutes gone. Now roller back on the 7 now. Ishikawa once more. Sending it out to this right-hand side. Now Anuki. Ishikawa once more. Now wrapping around. That's a beautiful ball. It's gone backwards, and Kaneko connects on the end of a lovely pass, and we are locked up.
What a pill. I mean, Singapore delivered a left to right. Well, here's a right to left. Lovely little early release on the rooster. Right to left ball. I mean, you can't really ask for much more from a tall winger. Catching ground in the corner. We're in for a proper game.
Well, it had to be a good ball to beat that defensive line because they were well positioned, but it was spot on. And now Singapore have a little bit more work to do here. So they'll drop it just shy of the 7, diving from distance. There was a touch in there just in time, it looks like. Yes, back to the 7 they'll go. Probably lucky there for Singapore because I think it actually came spilling out in the attempt to put it down. Floating around now. Once more receives it back, looking to go long. It's an awkward one to deal with, but Singapore do a great job here to continue batting it out towards the wing. Not sure what they've called here on this occasion. It should still be a Singapore ball, though. Struan Todd, he thought he was in for all money, but they still have possession now. So worked away from Ewan. Ewan now out of acting half and then popping a little pass here for Liam. And Liam gets it wider still, but Japan hang on for dear life.
Yeah, Singapore really pushing the boat out in terms of their attacking sets. Diving deep into the playbook. I really thought that tap on was legal, but as we said earlier, I was talking on pitch 6. Refs don't care what you think in the commentary box. They'll call it as they see it.
Certainly will, as forward they march now, Japan, through Ung involved. Getting it back now out towards Mariyama. Floating it towards the middle. That's gone to ground, though. Nara, unfortunately, can't get hands on it. That rain is still coming down, but another set forthcoming here for Japan as Nara will roll it back, restart this count. Mariyama out of acting half, and now back here for Nara. Nara with the dummy and then squeezing all the way through. That's classy from Japan, and for the first time in this match, they hit the front.
Yeah, superb play. And again, it's almost like because they've threatened with the long ball for large parts of this opening period, that when he dummies to go, the Singaporean middle just hesitates, just jumps a little bit, and that's all the separation he needs. Flies over, lovely dive and scoring. 5 tries, 7 minutes. It's not a bad ratio.
Well, that's what good players do as well. Once there's even half an opportunity, they will seize upon it. And speaking of seizing upon things here, Japan now have possession. Singapore with an easy turnover. As Japan swing it from right to left. Heavy touch there, but not forceful contact, so play on the call. The subset is in action. And look at Japan. Just really struggling to bring it away from that sideline here as Singapore step up in emphatic fashion. And then no real advantage there. So it was Kenny Huang who has been singled out there.
Yeah, for me, Japan are just starting to really bubble into this game. They were sort of simmering at the start, now they're bubbling over. They look like they've got much more drive when they get into the final third.
So really getting quite wet now here at Nottingham as well, as off they go once more. Takiguchi sending it out to this right-hand side. They're claiming the touch here, Singapore, and the referee agrees. So back to the 7-metre mark they go. Much to the applause of their fans here, Singapore. Takiguchi sends it on now for Toshiro. And then wider still for Kanabe. Now once more threatening, looking good here, Takiguchi. Dove from distance. Singapore got down quickly enough. Huang and Ho were there to put an end to things. Kanabe now to the middle here, and then back to Takiguchi, who drops it down. Kanabe in an acting half. Takiguchi popping a little ball. Once more, they look to be offside here, Singapore, so that's 2 in a row now.
Yeah, and they're walking a fine line because, as we know, 3 repeat penalties on the line. Someone's going for time. And Japan, again, really stretching this Singaporean defence. Japan have really grown into this first half, the first 10 minutes.
Forced substitution as well here, and that's been played out there from Japan. That won't be a penalty, though. That's simply a restart.
That has to be for chat. Has to be for chat.
Now, Nara back out there. He's already looked pretty dangerous so far. Can he get another opportunity at them here? Nara with a lovely disguised pass directly into the path of Maruyama. They all had eyes out wide, but short. That was where the danger was.
Yeah, and he winds up like he's going to rip it 100 metres. And then just the deft hands, little drop off into the corner. And to be honest, it was a 4-on-1 in the end. The Singaporean defence just all slammed together, too congested. And Japan are too good not to capitalise.
Now, great ball there from Nara, but certainly don't take away the effort there from Maruyama, who not only hit a great hole, but that was a tough ball to take in the end. It still had a little bit of sizzle about it.
And especially with all the rain coming down, it really shows proper skills. And Singapore looking to get back on the board. And a little bit of a wild goose chase going on in the midfield.
I don't think I've seen that in elite level touch before, literally running away from the opposition. We nearly had our first long-range intercept on Highfields 1 for the start of this tournament. But Japan, nonetheless, haven't gone the whole distance, but they will now work it away from their own end. And Kanabe just couldn't quite find a man who was in the right line. And as a result, that ball goes to ground. So they just keep inviting Singapore back into the contest here.
Yeah, and Singapore seems to be one of those teams where if you don't put them to bed, they're going to keep asking questions. So Japan, you can't fall into complacency. And yes, the rain is really pouring down. We're going to, your hands are going to struggle. We need to take a little bit off each pass to secure the ball. But they can't keep coughing off possession.
Now Ung all the way to the line, finding a pass, but well marked up there in the end was Oda. He scrambled across for Japan, made the touch. Now they work it back towards the middle here. Short little pass, once more running at them. Bit of a threat here for Chung, who then drops it over the top. Oh, was very close there. They had to scramble Japan, but they saw it off well enough.
Yeah, Japan just scramble really well in defence. Doesn't seem to be much defensive policy going on. There's no sort of smiley face or save a middle. It seems to just back your athleticism, make the touches as the ref takes
referees
a
hit the deck as well. Too much speed there from Maruyama. Now they're all looking to squeeze through, and in the end, the only one in support was the ref getting back to his feet. So a lucky escape there for Singapore, who now drive forward. It's Chung. He gets good meters here, and then once more easy meters upfield, this time for Khan. But now it's all gone a little bit sideways, quite literally here for Singapore. They were waiting for those reinforcements. This is better stuff, though. They get in the right direction. Now the last, and they're all locked up on this right-hand side. They had to keep going that way. Unfortunately for them, Japan also read it well enough. And in the end, despite having an enormous amount of numbers out on that right-hand side, it was still 4-on-4.
Yeah, just telegraphed their intentions off the back of the sub-move. Everyone was sort of fading round. Maybe you needed someone to just cut a line underneath, change the impetus, ask a different question of Japan. They're just finding it a bit too easy at the moment.
The meters here now for Japan, really rolling upfield with relative ease as Inui drops it down, and then once more at pace here. Threatening again is Ishikawa, who throws it long. What a ball from Ishikawa. Oh, great movement from Hasegawa, who has a try now as well.
That is stunning. Watch this in the midfield. He sucks about 4 players onto him. Here, 1 dummy, 2 dummy. Now we go long as the defence has been completely congested. And take nothing away from the finish, he's still got to get there and get the ball down in what is quite torrid conditions, to be perfectly honest. And Singapore opened the scoring and Japan have run away.
Certainly right, Joe, right? The conditions have deteriorated significantly here at Nottingham. It's looking like we were going to get away with a clean day, if you will. Clear and no rain. And there is the touch made from Japan, but I think that might have been the play of the tournament thus far from Ishikawa. He was just delightful in that movement.
Oh, he's acting like a magnet in the midfield, just drawing everyone onto him and then going, oh, okay, there's a space, bye.
Speaking of a little bit of space, it nearly opens up here for Singapore. In fact, it will open up. They went direct, dove from a bit of a way, and they get the ball down. Here it is again on the replay. It's nicely worked here from Singapore.
Yeah, it's nice. It's sort of that link punish. Takes it, yeah, and just gets the ball down. Number 6 for Japan, just retreating beyond the line. And, you know, we talk a lot as a coach about painting pictures for the refs. It's not the picture you want to paint when you go past beyond the line.
So just under 14 minutes gone here. Getting closer towards that halfway point. 5-3 the score. Japan over Singapore. Tough conditions in Nottingham as they send it out wide now for Nara. Nara once more with a beautiful ball here for Kanabi. And Kanabi was pretty confident he got all the way through. The referee disagrees though, so back to the 7-metre mark will come now as the spectators start heading for the hills here, or even the grandstands, if you will. So still a threat on the Singaporean line. Japan sending it out to this right-hand side. Played quickly here for Maruyama. The hat comes off. So too do the bearings momentarily, but Singapore scramble, make the touch, and ultimately they probably survive another one that should have resulted in a try.
Yeah, definitely. Japan look really good value when they get into the attacking third. It's just the explosiveness. And again, it directly contrasts what we've saw earlier on in the day. Hole hitting, running through the ball, running through the holes and with real intensity. And at the moment, Singapore masterminds their own downfall, can't get out of their defensive third, just inviting the pressure.
A very deep pass here to link up with the replacements streaming onto the field. As now Onuki is caught, plays it, receives it back, and then swinging around here is Ishikawa. He's the danger man to watch. Gets it back from a strike dump. Ishikawa once more, floating a lovely pass. Again, he found the right target. It was Onuki who was looming. Just couldn't get fingertips to it, though.
Yeah, maybe if the rain wasn't pouring down, that ball probably stays in the hands. But it shows the real intent from Japan. They're not taking the conditions into account. They're going to run their structure whether the rain likes it or not. And they'll see what comes off. And I mean, the ability they've shown in this first half, why not?
Well, it seems incredible that the margin is only 2 here, but 5-3 the score to Japan. Singapore somehow with a chance to make this a 1-point margin, but it won't happen on this particular set as Khan has turned away. Now the changeover here for Japan as they will look to get their fresh troops onto the field here with a subset rolling forward. The pressure coming in now. Good touch made in the end from Tan. And then up over halfway now. Good momentum about this set here from Japan. They roll it back quickly. Little bobble, but I'm happy to see that called play on. As now it comes here for Toshiro. Toshiro dropping it down. Last one now. Takiguchi once more. They look for the wide option. And a great covering touch here in the end from Singapore. It's made from Ji Yangtan.
Yeah, really good defensive read. Almost sort of covered the tap back ball to the Japanese wing and then is able to track out, hips facing lovely. But that's again, this unforced error just invites the pressure from Japan. And you know, what I wanted to say a little bit earlier, that a mark of a good team is staying in the fight when you don't really deserve to. At the moment, Singapore are giving themselves so much to do with these unforced errors. Japan are just going to capitalise.
Well, 2 of the last 5 sets coming out of their own end have resulted in early errors in the count. They just keep inviting more Japanese pressure on that line. So Nara, certainly one to watch. He's waiting for this strike dump. Gets it now. Nara with a short little pass here for Takiguchi, who squeezes all the way through. And those two have combined multiple times in this match.
Yeah, and touch is about partnerships. You know, when you're playing on a pitch together as a set of 6, you need those interpersonal relationships, and these two have that in abundance. Lovely middle quickie, pop ball on the inside, right foot step, dove underneath, Singaporean defence, disjointed, Japan take full advantage.
Nothing Caleb Ong could do there. Maybe if it wasn't so wet at the moment, he could have been able to step back on the inside, but the only thing that was going to result from that was a big clump of turf being spewed up onto the Nottingham fields here. And there's another turnover from Singapore for that matter. So Japan now start to wind up from their own end. I'll take a little settler here as they start to get fresh troops back on the field. And it's a pretty good subset as well. They keep rolling forward. And look at this. Easy meters up for grabs. There's now short balls provided here for Toshiro. Last one, and they will get a crack at them. Takiguchi. Now, that was stepped up into the passing lane. It wasn't an obvious one, but definitely a hand involved.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those where you sort of go for the touch, and I mean, I've done it. You've probably done. You leave your elbow hanging around just in case the ball does go. And it's definitely 6 more, and for Singapore, it's not what you want, especially with these two on the pitch.
Toshiro once more back on the inside. It's one of those ones where you say, no, sir, that's the actual natural angle of my arm.
Yeah, I've definitely not hung it out there on purpose. Sorry, sir.
The Takiguchi now. Sending it once more for Toshiro. Bobbing around. A lot of energy about his work. Takiguchi now on the charge. Dropping a little short pass. They'll play it inside the 7. A bobble there as well. I think they're a little bit unlucky on this occasion here, Singapore.
Yeah, it seemed like Japan tried to run the phase when the space really wasn't there. And it's one of those where, from a Singapore perspective, you've gone to make the touch. You can't automatically just vanish from that touching area. You've got to have a little bit of consideration from a Japanese perspective.
Well, they're now looking to capitalise here. Japan, Ishikawa is back on the field. He's been the most dangerous player on it so far. Quick roll ball here for Aida. And now the big, that's the old Carmichael Hunt step. We haven't seen that in a good 20 years. So they'll roll that back on the 7-metre mark. One of the famous names in rugby league, that's for sure. Ishikawa still an option here on this right-hand side. They'll come a little further out to the left, though, for Aida. And he's caught in the end. So last one now for Japan. Ishikawa opening up the space. Now the dancing feet come out. The flick pass as well. Well, that's one to get the taste buds all tantalised, but doesn't amount to much when it goes to ground.
Yeah, and I was just sort of thinking to myself there, from a Singaporean perspective, because I don't think they've played badly. I also don't think they really deserve to be 6-3 down. But one thing you say as a coach in the rain, you go, defend hikes, they can't throw long. But all Japan have done is throw long, and it's worked. So it feels like Singapore are really up against it, and Japan just have no consideration for the conditions. They're throwing the passes as it would be as a perfectly dry and humid day.
Well, we talk about sticking to your policies, but sometimes you have to take into account the fact that we do have almost monsoonal conditions here in Nottingham. But nonetheless, Japan do have this half-time lead. It's a bit to build on in the second 20. 6-3 at the break. We'll take a quick break ourselves and all the second half action in just a moment.
And I'm representing the Hydex programme, which is one of the sponsors of the Touch Rugby World Cup. HyDex is a collaboration of a number of universities based in the Midlands, including the University of Nottingham. One of HyDex's main aims is to support industry to innovate, developing new products and services in the hydrogen economy. We decided to sponsor the Touch Rugby World Cup, particularly in relation to energy use, so that Geopura, a locally based business, can provide hydrogen to be utilised at the event, making the event more sustainable and improving air quality for visitors and competitors alike. We hope this support will encourage others to look for more sustainable ways to run similar events in the future. Finally, just to say, we hope everyone that's involved in the event has a great time.
I love Nottingham, the home of Robin Hood. From the bright lights of Goose Fair to the peaceful nature of the Sherwood Forest woods. There's a feeling of togetherness, unity, pure, honest, love. And that feels great like a bright summer's day at the horses down by the lake at Colic. All I love Nottingham. The River Trent, the embankment, the Nottingham Carnival, different cultures dancing. The diversity, just walking down Columbus Street on a Saturday. The two lions in the square stand tall with pride. And when the market's in town come alive, it gives me life. Listen, as the council house clock chimes, and depending on how many times, lets you know the time. I've been to concerts at the Motorpoint Arena, and I've been to concerts at the Nottingham Caves. I've been here all my life and I'm still amazed by this place. I love Nottingham. Sometimes I stare at Hockley's graffiti colourful walls, and sometimes I gaze at the deers running round Woolton Hall. Supreme thrills, from chilling up at Greens Mill or up at that castle on the hill. Nottingham, I love you, and I always will. Visit Nottingham today.
Yes, Nottingham is indeed the venue here for the Touch World Cup 2024. We're about to get back underway here for the men's 30s division. Japan with a good lead in that first half, 6-3. And Singapore probably lucky to only be behind by 3 as Japan go on the attack immediately here. James Preston and Joe Wright bring you all the action as Anuki comes forward and then stops on the run. Singapore up to meet him, though. That's nice defensive work, but now there's a real issue because Ishikawa is looking to once more lay on the smackdown, and he does it yet again here, linking up with Onuki, and oh no for Singapore.
Oh, it's just the phase play. We've seen it twice already in the first half for Japan. They take the ball really hard to the line, and then rather than taking a safe bet and come back to the 7, they go, we don't need 7 meters, we only need the 1. Quick ball down, quick flash out. The link kind of has to commit. The wing also kind of has to cover his corner. It leaves the Japanese link an acres of space.
Well, I like the heads-up play there as well from Japan. You don't see them roll the ball inside the 7 all too often, and when it does happen, you usually have to come away with a result. Otherwise, you cause all sorts of issues for the rest of the set.
Yeah, definitely, and the pace at which the ball has to come off the floor.
So Singapore diving from a good 4 or 5 meters away, but Japan catching that attempt mid-flight. So only around about a minute gone here in the second half. Still the rain teeming down at Nottingham. They spread it wide early here. Nowhere to go. And they weren't really looking to pass it through the hands on that final play, but not a bad option in the end. Just kills it away from the sub-box.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, Japan have the hands on display in these conditions are the deal breaker. That's what's levelling them above Singapore at the moment. Singapore are taking that extra half second to secure the ball, and those half seconds add up.
Now Kanabi, and then for the run here of Maruyama, who scored a great try in that first half. Wrapping around Kanabi, just couldn't get his arms to it. A little bit tough here with all the rain teeming down, but Singapore probably already need to be next to score here, you'd have to say.
Oh, definitely. You've got to stop the flow of scores going against you, and best way to do that is get one of your own. But they're just not asking enough questions of the Japanese defence when they get into the red zone.
So now here's Huang, who rolls it back. This is much better, though, from Singapore. Nice straight drives involved. Lim rocks it down, and then unfortunately it comes unstuck right at the end here, but that was building much more nicely for Singapore compared to what we have seen in that first half, as now Kanabi brings it forward. Little bobble there. They're all pointing to the spot, and eventually our man with the GoPro says, yes, even I've got that on camera.
That was one of those. Everyone went, roll ball, sir, and he went, yeah, no problem. If enough of you are claiming for it, probably correct. It's the right decision. Singapore need to use this opportunity to get the score.
Well, it was building there too. I thought they could have had a crack on the more direct option instead, but in the end they pulled up short and then caught out of acting half. So fortunately a bit of a cavalcade of errors there as they turn it back on the inside and now up towards halfway. Good momentum here from Japan, running directly in the back of the offside Mingwei Vincent Lim. Now more meters on offer here for Onuki. Already trying this first half as Takiguchi gets all the way through. Looking for support. Finds it in the form of Anui. And once more, Japan are on the board, 8-3.
Yeah, it's just the pace at which Japan go through the motions, especially in these conditions. I mean, this dump is hard enough when it's dry. When it's wet, it's almost impossible. And then the scoop comes through, super clean, easy pass. It's the core skills done to the extreme at the moment.
A little short pass provided here from the restart for Singapore. They've struggled to break down this Japanese line throughout the first 24 minutes here. But they have looked a little bit better when they are attacking directly up through the centre. They'll play it now on the 7. They'll turn it back once more here for Huang. Huang now out of acting half, trying to operate down a short side, but they didn't get the numbers right. In the end, it was actually 3-on-2 in favour of Japan.
Yeah, it felt like there was a lack of communication there in the call of the play. And as you say, the numbers were just never really in the favour of Singapore.
Now Kaneko bring it forward, and then another strong charge here as well from Anuki before he heads to the sideline. Kaneko once more, dropping a little pass here for Ishikawa. All building nicely in this set here for Japan. Now Kanabe takes off, looks to link up out wide. Good read made. Kanabe back in an acting half. Can they get to the line in time? Well, Singapore had their backs turned momentarily and just were able to recalibrate. Otherwise, that was another try looming.
Yeah, I believe it was the Singaporean middle that just haired it for the corner for where the Japanese winger was, and it actually worked for him because it almost made the Japanese middle just have to check that option and then come back on the inside.
Ishikawa once more looking for a nice ball there. Bit of an awkward collision as well. Nothing intentional about it. There's another penalty forthcoming in favour of Japan, so they'll have to be careful here, Singapore. Ishikawa gets us underway once more. Hideaki Nara. Nara now is caught. Around about 9 metres away. So the big guns on deck here for Japan. Nara, Ishikawa, and now here is Kanabe. And Kanabe looking to capitalise. They got to him in time. When those three are on the pitch, anything can happen here for Japan. Nara once more here for Ishikawa. Crabbing across field, looking to link up. Up they step to meet him. Quick release back for Ishikawa. Now Nara sums up the situation beautifully. Finds a wide ball, and Kaneko is on the spot yet again.
Yeah, and Japan are able to draw the Singaporean players onto them oh so easily. And it means that there is always space on the outside. And maybe Singapore just need to start defending a little bit wider with their hips facing towards the touchline so they're able to chase out a little bit easier. So at the moment, Japan are just picking them off at every opportunity when they get to the line.
The score is reflective of all of those opportunities that Japan have, and they continue to capitalise for that matter too. 9-3 the score. Less than 14 to go. Here comes Huang straight up through the middle. Nearly all the way there. Bayek was also emerging as an option. So back to the 7 they come now. Popped out here from Chung. Chung once more, drops it down. 9 away on the last Chung. Dropping a little pass back on the inside. That's better play from Singapore. They straightened up, dug into the line, and all of a sudden the space opens up.
Yeah, a bit more imagination from Singapore in attack. Let's go outside, check back on the inside, asking more questions, making the Japanese defenders man up rather than just defend the space. Yeah, and it's a nice little pop ball on the inside, and had to get that ball down quickly because the covering defender was there.
The try time for William Bin Hu. Nicely set up though from Jia Long Chung. Now heading back down towards this Singaporean defensive end. Japan, can they pile on the pressure once more? So the margin reduced to 5 here. Singapore need to keep scoring. Probably only afford to concede another one in total, and Singapore take the intercept. It's a good play in the end. Surely they can't be pinged again. They have to. They just have not had the rub of the green here at all, Singapore.
Definitely not. And, you know, on another day, this game might be closer because they've definitely been in the fight. It's just it's so few and far between. He allowed Japan just to bubble in momentum. I'm begging for that intercept try. I'm begging for it. Please, refs, just give us one.
It's nearly happened multiple times in this game as now Anuki goes forward. He got to ground very quickly, and finally we're seeing Japan optimize the situation based on the conditions they're playing in, which is a long dive as opposed to a long ball.
Yeah, you could dive 10 metres out and get to the line in these conditions.
Let's see if they try it again. Now, Ishikawa once more takes off, oodles of space, again nearly intercepted, falls into the arms of Japan. It can't possibly be forward because it was touched twice from Singapore. But still, this isn't going to go the way of Japan. I'm not sure what they've called there in the end.
I saw the signal for 6 touches. Although, is there a touch? Well, as we said earlier, refs don't care about what we think. Fair enough. 9-4, but I do think Japan have been a little bit hard done by, and if this game was closer, maybe that'd be a bigger talking point. But 9-4 with just over 10 minutes to go. Feels like he'll be a bit of nothing.
The Ewan now comes forward. 7 away. Ewan once more an option. Did well to maintain control of the ball, but Japan were stepping up quite aggressively. As a result, they shut it down.
So then I noticed about the Japan defence is they get all 5 players, aside from the touching player, onside so quickly that it means that Singapore have to be as crisp as humanly possible off the base of the ruck to even get any sort of advantage going to the line. It's the organisation from the Japanese defence that are setting them apart right now.
Well, elite level touch, if you're not across watching it all the time, you've decided to tune in for a very special occasion, namely the Touch World Cup for 2024. Some of the fittest athletes on planet Earth. Meters they have to do in defence, and sheer speed and velocity of it as well, as now once more Japan on the attack, and then a smart play there from Singapore too. Rushed in, pulled the hand away, and ultimately no touch of the ball, and then a turnover off the back of the drop.
Yeah, it's a much better defensive press from Singapore, actually getting into the passing lanes and making Japan play around them, and they get the penalty.
An incorrect roll ball, the call here, and there was audible groans just to the right-hand side of the commentary booth here. I think there's a fair few Singaporean fans floating about in that direction of the grounds here at Highfields in Nottingham.
Yeah, they're underneath us in the cover. Smart. But it must be frustrating from a Singaporean perspective, because obviously, if first half, 3 tries went in pretty quickly. You can do it. It's just not been consistent enough.
Well, let's remember, they led. It was 2-1, and then a real flood of points in favour of Japan. This is better stuff, though, from Singapore. Playing right at the advantage line, and now up over the halfway line for that matter. Chung. Still an option through the middle. Nice cycle of the footy. Picks it up and then scoots immediately here. Chung back towards the middle once more. So a bit of cat and mouse here from Singapore. A roller back on the last. Chung at the line. No way Japan were ever back on side there. At least that man through the middle. I think the number 12 was on side. That was a Nui, but there is the call from the referee.
Yeah, I think you could pick 4 or 5 of them that were offside there in that defensive set. Japan just not hitting that onside line, and Singapore might feel a bit hard done by. The ref didn't just call play on and give the score.
So Chung now. I think you're right, Joe. That was certainly a case of probably at least half the team being offside, and plenty of times we've seen a playthrough called, and here they go early in the new count, diving from their way out, trying to get the ball across the line. Once more, they are denied, though, so really not getting the rub of the green here, Singapore. In fact, it'll be a turnover, so it goes from bad to worse.
Yeah, and it's a coach killer. It's also sort of a desire killer. Like when you have sort of a decision that goes against you that you really think was in your favour, and then you cough up the ball, it's like a dagger through the heart. Especially in these conditions against such a well-drilled side. It's like, how do you pick yourself up from that? How can you go again? And it takes a really strong team to do that.
Well, fair to say, Japan would certainly be floating about most people's predictions for some sort of medal in just about every category they're competing in. So one of the strongest teams. We know Singapore have certainly come on leaps and bounds in the last few years, but still in terms of that Asia region, probably Japan is the heavyweight.
I'll tell you what, I'm really looking forward to seeing Japan-England in this category. I think that's going to be a really good game because England have a lot of really dynamic players. I'm not going to spoil anything for people who've not seen their men's 30s for England yet, but Marcus Evans, brilliant player, pill off both hands. One of the only people I know that could throw a 30-40 long ball off both hands. Excellent player. But then, how can you stop this Japan side? They're so dynamic, so explosive. It's almost impossible.
Now Anuki and Ishikawa. Both involved through the middle here. So Ishikawa, speaking of dynamic, doesn't get much more dynamic than him. So Ishikawa rolling it back towards the middle here for Anuki, who potentially thought there was a touch coming and then just gave up on the play. And ultimately, there is the turnover for Japan. So Singapore have rattled them probably the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. And Singapore have been much better value for themselves over the past 5 minutes, putting on more of a defensive press. Just a little bit too little too late.
The last one now here for Singapore. Lim brings it forward here for Chung. They've somehow lost track of the count, though. And there is the turnover. So the arm was well and truly raised. You could see it as if it was a lighthouse from the cliffs of Dover, but instead they've fallen over at the final hurdle.
Yeah, and for me, there's a couple of things in touch which are not unforgivable, but miscount, losing track of the touch count is one of those where you can ask the ref at any point and they'll tell you. So, use the resources available to you, maximise your ability to run. And unfortunately, it's one of those unforced errors that Japan will just capitalise on.
Well, here they go now. Takiguchi was trying to take off, but there is another unforced error. So a little bit sloppy in the play of the ball. Just over 6 minutes remaining now. It's still not out of the reach here for Singapore, and we haven't seen a Japanese try in quite a while now, but errors like this, there's no way you can possibly get back into the game.
Yeah, it's, Japan have definitely slowed down over the past sort of six to 8 minutes, I'd say. They've definitely slowed down, and Singapore seem to have been growing into this second half. It's just the 1% for Singapore at the moment. It's like that touch there, that penalty, just a full extension of the arm through the touch. It's really easy for the refs to pick that up, and it's like that's what they're looking for. And if you're going to do it, be a little bit more coy about it. Have a bit more disguise.
They take off once again. Oh, beautifully worked here from Hideaki Nara. Outstanding. He jinked, he jived, he drew, he passes, and they score.
And it's another example of what happens when you hit your holes. He engages sort of two players, and then just a little pop, dive through. Didn't really need to dive in the end. Could have probably had a cup of tea, watched some TV, relaxed, and then put the ball down. He had that much time. Japan really good value for the lead.
Well, it's probably the one that kills this off as a contest. It was still a slender hope for Singapore, but with that try for Nakano Watari, you can put a cue in the rack just about here. Singapore, however, they are looking to build for the rest of this tournament. They want to finish strongly. They come forward, and I think Nakano Watari there with a little bit of a forceful touch as well. Also offside, so take your pick in terms of the indiscretion. Another fresh set to come here for Singapore as Jia Long Chung. Still an option here through the middle. Now he's caught, rolls it back just inside the 7, and then gives it away once more early in the count.
Yeah, and it is really frustrating. And I sort of find myself in the commentary box thinking, like, oh, you really well to get there. And then what is actually quite a straightforward pass. It's basic skills, and lines are just being overrun. The support isn't where it needs to be. And, fair to say, it's day one. You've got a lot of time over the tournament to fix these errors, but they are still errors and they're costing you.
Last one now here for Japan. They're all offside too. Singapore, they got back just in time though, and then the ball went to ground. So that's why no penalty forthcoming on that occasion. But it's quite interesting too. Since the rain has stopped, it's almost like both teams have decided to play more conservatively, not less, and yet we're still getting the same errors.
Yeah, I know. It's bizarre. I'm really sort of stumped for words, because when the rain was really huffing it down in sort of monsoon-style rain, all the long balls were sticking, the hands were perfect, steps here, there, and everywhere, big left foot, right foot whack, and then the rain stopped, and it's like we've gone, oh, it's boring now. I don't really want to do it anymore.
The short pass here for Singapore. Lim. They keep promoting it out to that right-hand side. Play through is the call initially. Well, that certainly seemed to be what Singapore thought, but penalty comes nonetheless. So with around about 3 minutes to go, Singapore looking to finish strongly here. Japan have sewn this one up. They send it out now for Ong. Ong is caught, hops in an acting half, and then looping around is Zong Yong Ho. He hasn't seen too much of the ball so far, Ho. Once more, out on this left-hand side. Ho waiting for it in that right wing position. Doesn't quite get there. Now it arrives to Ho, who takes the touch. Out of acting half. Ho still there in support. Oh, he had to hit Ho though. There was a giant hole that had opened up.
Yeah, there was two. There was one in the middle, and then there was one outside the wing as well. The Japanese defence had collapsed with no real structure to it, and Singapore probably rue that missed opportunity.
Ong now on the last. Quick switch and then out to this left-hand side. Well marked up though from Japan. Across there very quickly was Kentaro Oda. He shuts it down. And I'm not sure Singapore will get too many more chances to put another one on the board.
No, I don't think so. I think Japan have been, by and large, excellent in attack. And they've done enough in defence. They've not been perfect by any means, but they've definitely done enough.
And now Onuki with a nice strike dump here. Well picked up from Takiguchi. Tries to go all the way through, but good touch in the end there from Singapore. So around about 90 seconds remaining here at Nottingham. Been a great first day of action here. The commencement of the Touch World Cup 2024. 5 years in the making and been worth every waiting hour, day, week, month, year, you name it. Singapore now driving forward. Last one here for them. They look to dive from distance once more. They've marked up well. And Onuki makes the touch. They'll turn them away. And with just over a minute left, that should be the absolute final opportunity there for Singapore, you'd have to imagine.
Yeah, I think so. And Singapore will probably look at this game and see so many opportunities missed. And especially in the second half. In the first half, it was a little bit of a no contest. But in the second half, there's been plenty of opportunities there for them. Just the 1%ers.
Ishikawa, beautiful draw and pass. They keep it alive and send it out wide for Oda. And ODA has an OMG. Outstanding here from Japan. And they add another one to the board.
Oh, it's brilliant catch and pass. And again, just when the conditions go against... Well, I can't even say when the conditions go against you, do the basics. Because when in the first half, when the conditions were definitely against them, they did the extraordinary. And it kept sticking. But that's what you want to do. Just catch and pass, draw the man, find your overlap, 3-on-2, easy execution. And for me, that's the difference between these two sides. It's just that execution rate. Japan's is through the roof. Singapore struggling to pick it up.
Now an opportunity for Singapore, though, on that right-hand edge. And had they gone a little bit quicker there, they did have a 3-on-2, but saving middle came across. Here's the last play of this match now. Singapore, unfortunately, that probably sums it up. Just lacking that execution inside that final danger zone.
Yeah, and it's a shame because we've seen, especially in the first sort of 5-10 minutes of the first half, they have the ability to do it. And it's like as soon as Japan started to reach into the playbook and find some real success in their line attack, Singapore just sort of shied away from the challenge and maybe sort of thought, oh, well, the conditions are this, Japan are playing in this way, and they didn't really sort of have that fire to step up to the plate. And Japan just kept turning the screw and kept showing what they can do. And I mean, 11-4, about right.
Well, at full time here, Japan victorious in the men's 30 division, and they make a bit of a statement in the process too. They'll be ones to watch moving forward into this tournament. Full time here, 11-4, and up next, we close out day one of the action at Nottingham for the Touch World Cup 2024. England once more take to the stage, and it will be another Asian combatant. Hong Kong, China are their opponents. Adam Collins to bring you all the action in just a moment.